hit by a potentially fatal inbound round from a sick and merciless enemy who would do anything to deceive, kill, steal, or destroy anything in any form or fashion in our lives. Overflowing spiritual warfare. That, my friends, is what this and all of our trials, best and worst trials, are all about. His doc secured a date for the surgery, and we prayed. Well, he was in Missouri and I was here in Arizona, and beyond the barrier of the miles in between were the severely overreaching federal COVID lockdowns. Apparently, there was no way on God's green earth that I would be able to attend. Lord knows how desperately I wanted to. I wanted it in the worst way. I needed to be there. I didn't want it for myself because I was and still am utterly confident that my God is bigger than any of the battles that we face. But still, God knew how deeply I desired it. Now, if after everything I've told you, and this was your combat medic, and you had the opportunity to be there for them when they needed you the most, well, you'd move heaven and earth. That's what you'd do. But what if you didn't have to? I wanted it for the guy who always was and is there for everyone else, who just needed someone to stand by his side, someone that he trusted. He said that he wished I could be there, and my heart was breaking. But that also fueled my motivation like nothing else. And God, He was already working on delivering a solution for all the issues on my end. You see, we're a pretty humble family, the way we live. We survive on our retirement and Social Security, and most of everything we do in the ministry comes out of our paycheck. I don't say that to tell you that we're not swimming in cash by any means, because we're not. Never have been, and we certainly don't mind. If we did, we wouldn't do it. But like most Americans, I imagine, there's not really a lot left at the end of the month these days, and certainly not anywhere near enough for a plane ticket out of the blue. So I called Bobby, who I'd served with in Mogadishu. Bobby was born and raised here, and if there was any way possible for this to happen, he would know. We hashed out the details over the phone, and Bobby didn't hesitate. He never even blinked. He knows all too well who Doc is, who he is to me, and he's as equally grateful as anyone for his contributions towards me still being here. I told you, who doesn't love Doc? So we put a pot of coffee on, and Bobby came over, and we sat on that back patio table right here where I'm sitting now, with our phones calculating mileage, prices, and other logistical travel details. Bobby had a voucher through Southwest Airlines for $248.86 that he was going to donate to help defray the price of the ticket, as his son is a Southwest employee. I need you to remember that amount, $248.86. So I'll put it up on the screen here for a second. When Abby was little, she used to call her Uncle Bobby the President of Arizona, because there wasn't a question about this state that he hasn't been able to answer, not once in 14 years. His family's been here since Sitting Bull, and with over 40 first and second cousins throughout the country, they've pretty much got the whole place wired. We went through the entire process with a very patient Southwest Airlines rep, and in hashing out the details, she sensed our trepidation, desperation, or whatever eternal hope was somehow coming out of our words. And after some coaxing, she pulled the entire story out of us. At first, she seemed a little taken aback by what was happening in front of her. But in finding out that she, a believer herself, she told us she was proud to be part of such a divine mission. She vowed to do everything within her power to help make this work. Alrighty then. Seems like everybody's all in on the mission. Let's do this. All said and done, travel to Missouri, pre-surgery, surgery, and then home again would all occur within 72 hours. Remember, this was during the COVID-19 lockdown, and we were blessed to even have that small window to operate in. God knew exactly what we needed. She even considered my back and neck issues by arranging a ride to the terminal. She said, "Honey, you're not going to ride far, but you're going to ride in style." By now, Bobby and I were both laughing out loud. Oh, and I almost forgot. The price of the ticket? You guessed it, $248.86. I kid you not. I know what you're thinking. The Southwest lady must have worked some of her keyboard mojo and made it magically work out down to the last penny. I see the Army isn't the only organization that knows how to pencil whip something. And besides, God's math is never wrong. Ever. But here's where it gets really interesting, because when she tried to apply that to the total, her monitor popped up with a prompt telling her the voucher could only be used by the named individual on the ticket, which was Bobby. In other words, it could not be donated, and the wind was quickly leaving our sails. Now here is where God really started showing off. Before Bobby and I had a chance to collectively exhale in disappointment, the woman's voice crackled out of the silence. "Oh look, it seems we found a bucket of Mystery Miles over here. That should about cover it." A bucket of Mystery Miles? Bobby and I silently mouthed to each other from across the table. I may have been born at night, but it surely wasn't last night. And I've heard some awesome NCOs pull off some of the most creative phrases I've heard in my entire life. But this was pretty epic. And we thanked her for her extreme generosity. She asked if I could make it to the airport within the next 24 hours, and in between high-fiving and jumping like spastic teenagers on my back patio here in silence, I calmed myself enough to respond with, "Yes, ma'am." We were enthusiastically celebrating in silence at the time, and before we knew it, I was booked and ready to go wheels up in less than 18 hours. It was precisely the miracle I needed. Man, God is so good. He had made the impossible possible. All we had to do was be willing, obedient, be still, and wait. Admittedly, an awkward combination for most of us. We were all high-fiving each other, high-fiving the phone, high-fiving the air. I couldn't wait to get inside and tell Helen what had just happened. It really was a miracle. And we all prayed together and thanked God for His provision. His will be done. And apparently this time, my prayers were in accordance with His will. So it felt really good. You know, we never really know how life's going to turn out. Years ago, when Dak and I started rolling through the streets of Ramadi and Habbaniyah, I would have never imagined that I could ever be of service in any significant way to a guy like Dion. I mean, who really would, though? But I called him back, and I let him know when I'd be flying in. I prayed with him, exchanged some bad retired veteran dad jokes, and listened as he told me about his awesome surgeon and realistic expectations. Admittedly, I was on a bit of information overload. We were riding this convoy to the end, though, but any efforts on my end felt pretty inconsequential in those moments. Baby steps. Be still. Before we hung up that night, with tears welling up in my eyes, I asked him, "Doc, what can I do for you?" "You're already doing it," he said. I smiled in silence and again thanked God as the tears continued to flow out of pure joy. That's it. That's all I wanted. That's all I ever wanted, to be the slightest bit comfort to the man God sent me and so many others. I had an opportunity, a miracle in fact, to offer something, anything, to my combat medic. I mean, seriously. whoever gets that chance. In between the worst government overreach in our history via the lockdowns, I was able to fly to another state, even though we had an FAA mask mandate, and visit and pray with my doc in person before and even after surgery, which the hospital said would be impossible. After surgery, Dion was in recovery, and due again to the COVID restrictions, I would not be permitted to visit him on the recovery floor. And just when you thought it over, it wasn't. Dion barked at the staff and pretty much mandated that since they wouldn't allow him to cart his own butt, post-surgery mind you, in a wheelchair downstairs to see me before I left, that they take him while still in his recovery bed down to the first floor to visit with me before my flight. Hey, what can we say? He played the chaplain card and it paid off. Doc's not really the kind of guy to take no for an answer. They brought him down in his bed on the freight elevator and put him in a room just for the two of us and his doctor. I could not have prayed for or written the script any better myself. I was already thanking God when that elevator door opened. It would take a year or more of fighting through chemo, a lot of prayer, and many unpleasant days. But God surely delivered. And the rest, as they say, is history. The medical team got all the cancer, Doc healed up well, and I could not be grateful enough to the ultimate healer who healed the one who helped to heal me and my little brother.
Congratulations.
The Warfighter Nation is a most incredible community where truly miraculous things really do happen. So if you're ever in Kansas City, stop by Outlaw Cigar and you just might find Doc there puffing on a long road to perdition behind the counter. And just tell him Ron sent you. Dang, what else do we have? I had something else. I probably TBI'd it. Oh, bonus material. Yeah, we got bonus material today. We even created a special one-of-a-kind tactical wristwear piece, which we award every 5 years by nomination only, the Desmond Doss Humanitarian Award. For a combat medic or a medical practitioner in the military who goes the distance during active duty and after. There are 3 thus far, and you can see why we were motivated by Doc. Dion was the first. The next was Patrick Doc Smith from the 75th Ranger Regiment in Battle of Mogadishu and his years of service with Team Rubicon. And our most recent is Malachias Doc Gaskin of the 3rd Infantry Division Infantry during the invasion of Iraq, creator and founder of Warfighter Gardens, author, and the voice behind Warfighter Music is his most recent accomplishment. So as you can see, these guys are no slouches. 2025 is the time for our next award. So start getting your nominations ready by sending them in with your narrative and pictures to me at airborneron@gmail.com. Once a medical provider has been selected, we will notify the one who nominated them, start to create a special tactical wristwear piece just for them, and get in cahoots with us to create a video message honoring your favorite medical provider. So whether it's a medic, a corpsman, or even your own SARC-trained steely-eyed super surgeon, you tell us. We can't wait to hear about your real heroes. We honor God by honoring His children. It's about highlighting individuals that God puts on our path and is used at certain points to make a real difference. Sometimes they don't even know it until years later. But usually with this crowd, it's pretty evident. Our first command is to love, and we feel like our tactical wristwear pieces are a decent way to show it. God bless you. God bless the Warfighter Nation. May God watch over and care for every battlefield angel, past, present, and future. You are truly out there doing the Lord's work. You're appreciated, you're loved, and God bless you all. See you on the other side.
You know you gotta keep your head